The morning sun of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the crystalline corridors of the Galactic Institute of Advanced Learning. Alex Chen walked quietly through the halls, his warm leather satchel slung over his shoulder, trying his best to remain invisible among the diverse array of alien students flowing around him like a living river of scales, tentacles, and bioluminescent patches. For 3 months now, Alex had been the only human in Professor Zykthara's Advanced Quantum Consciousness Theory class. The Exarillion professor, with her 6 compound eyes and crackling energy field, had made it clear from day one that she considered human inclusion in the program to be nothing more than a diplomatic gesture, a token representation of Earth's recent admission to the Galactic Education Consortium. Alex slipped into his usual seat at the back of the amphitheater-style classroom, a specially modified chair that accommodated his bipedal frame among the floating pods, crystalline formations, and biomechanical interfaces that served his classmates. Around him, the other students chattered in a symphony of clicks, whistles, and telepathic hums. There was Vormak, a silicon-based Christek, whose thoughts materialized as geometric light patterns, Thesia, a gaseous Nebulian who communicated through controlled atmospheric disturbances, and Crix, a multidimensional being who existed partially in several realities simultaneously. None of them had spoken to Alex since the semester began. Not out of malice exactly, but rather a kind of benign dismissal. Humans, after all, were widely regarded as intellectually limited, a species that had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel and whose brains still relied on primitive chemical synapses rather than quantum neural networks. Today, Professor Zykthara announced, her voice resonating through both audible frequencies and direct neural transmission, "We will attempt to solve the infinite recursion paradox, a problem that has stumped the greatest minds across 17 galaxies for over 3 millennia." She gestured with one of her forearms, and a complex holographic equation materialized in the center of the room. The formula twisted and writhed like a living thing, its variables shifting through dimensions that human eyes couldn't properly perceive. Alex squinted at it, feeling the familiar headache that came from trying to process multidimensional mathematics. The paradox states that consciousness, when attempting to fully understand itself, creates an infinite loop of self-observation, the professor continued. Each attempt at self-awareness generates a new level of awareness watching the watcher ad infinitum. This recursive cascade should theoretically collapse any conscious mind that attempts to solve it. Vormak's crystalline body pulsed with eager light patterns. "Professor, the quantum collective of Andromedas Prime attempted this using a linked network of 10,000 minds. They achieved partial insight before experiencing collective neural cascade failure." "Indeed," Zykthara replied, "and the silicon prophets of Tau Ceti spent 7 centuries developing specialized consciousness, dampening algorithms. They too failed." Her compound eyes swept across the room. "Who among you believes you can succeed where civilizations have failed?" Several students raised appendages, energy fields, or phase-shifted probability clouds. Alex, as usual, remained silent in his corner, absently doodling in his notebook, not equations, but simple sketches of the alien students around him. For the next 2 hours, brilliant minds tackled the paradox. Thesia attempted to solve it by distributing her consciousness across multiple atmospheric layers, only to find herself trapped in recursive weather patterns. Crix tried approaching it from several dimensions simultaneously, but the multiplication of perspectives only amplified the paradox. One by one, each attempt ended in the same result: cognitive overflow and safe disconnection from the problem. Professor Zykthara seemed grimly satisfied. As expected. The human representative, of course, hasn't even attempted. "Actually," Alex said quietly, closing his notebook, "I think I might have something." The entire class fell silent. Thesia's atmospheric disturbances stilled. Vormak's light patterns dimmed to barely visible flickers. Even Professor Zeichthar's energy field wavered with what might have been surprise. "You have a solution?" she asked, unable to keep the skepticism from her voice. Alex stood up, his chair creaking in the sudden quiet. Not exactly a solution. More like a different way of looking at it. He walked to the center of the room, the holographic equation casting strange shadows across his face. Everyone's been trying to solve the paradox by thinking harder, using more processing power, or approaching it from multiple angles. But what if the answer isn't about thinking at all? "Explain," Zeichthar demanded. All 6 eyes focused on him now. Alex pulled out his notebook and held up one of his sketches, a simple drawing of Vormak. "When I draw you, Vormak, I'm not trying to capture every quantum state of your crystal matrix or the precise wavelength of each photon you emit. I'm just capturing what I see, the essence." He turned to face the equation. What if consciousness isn't meant to fully understand itself? What if the paradox exists because we're asking the wrong question? Elaborate. Instead of how can consciousness observe itself without infinite recursion, maybe we should ask, why does consciousness need to fully understand itself at all? Alex's voice grew stronger. A bird doesn't need to understand aerodynamics to fly. A flower doesn't need to comprehend photosynthesis to grow. Maybe consciousness is like my sketch is imperfect, incomplete, but still capturing something true. He reached toward the holographic equation and, to everyone's shock, simply let it wash over him. Instead of trying to solve it, he accepted it, recursion and all, the way one might accept the sound of rain. The equation flickered. Its frantic writhing slowed, then stopped. For a moment, that felt like eternity. The paradox hung suspended in perfect, peaceful incompleteness. Then it dissolved into gentle motes of light that drifted down like snow. The silence stretched for long seconds before Vormak's crystals began pulsing in rapid, excited patterns. How? How did you do that?" Alex shrugged, suddenly aware that every being in the room was staring at him. "I guess, sometimes, the most human thing you can do is not try to be perfect." Professor Zeichthar's energy field had shifted to colors Alex had never seen before. When she finally spoke, her voice held a note of something that might have been wonder. "Class dismissed. Mr. Chen, please remain." As his classmates filed out in stunned silence, Alex realized that being the quiet human student was about to become much more complicated